All right, let's take a look at your CFU for 7.6 and the assignment. So this was, again, as I mentioned, kind of a nice review of what we were doing before. So it's going to actually have some problems like what we were doing yesterday along with the new ones. So the first two examples are where we have these cubic equations. So again, factoring by grouping, all we do is we group the first two together, look at what they have in common. So in this case, they share x squared. So I'm left with x plus 3. Factor, group the second two, look at what they have in common. They share a -7, left with x. When I pull out the -7, it changes it to plus 3, which is good because these two have to match up. So then factors to x plus 7, combine the outsides as your first term, sets of x plus 3s, and that's it. Again, you can FOIL this and check to make sure it matches. Pretty simple. All right, do the second one, same process. Ask what they have in common. They have a 3 and an x squared. So I'm left with x plus 6. So to factor out what they have in common, they share a 5, x plus 6. Notice how those are the same. So I have 3x squared plus 5 sets of x plus 6s. Lo and behold, got that one all taken care of. All right, let's take a look at the next three examples. So the next three this is where using the factoring by grouping, kind of what we did yesterday. So it's a nice review. So multiply these two terms together. So we're looking at factors of 45 that add to 18. So I got to kind of play around with this and do some guessing and checking. But if I try 15 times 3, that actually does multiply to 45. Those two numbers add to 18. So I can rewrite this as 15x plus 3x. Bring down the 5x squared, bring down the 9, and now it's just like what I did up top. Group the first two together. They share a 5 and an x. I'm left with x plus 3. 3x plus 9 just share a 3. So x plus 3s. Notice how they're the same. 5x plus 3 sets of x plus 3s. All right, let's do the second one. So I do the crisscross. Multiply the first and last term together. So 2 and 18 make 36. Multiples of 36 that add up to minus 13. Ooh, so both of these factors have to be negative. So let's see, 1 and 36, that's 37. 2 and 18, that's 20. 3 and 12, that's 15. 4 and 9, ooh, there we go, 4 minus 9. So I go 2x squared, sorry, I already brought that down, but the minus 13 can be written as minus 4x minus 9x plus 18. All right, so now I'm going to do the factoring by grouping. Group the first two together. They share a 2 and an x. So I'm left with x minus 2. Factor out what the next group has in common. They have a minus 9 in common. So again, when I take out that negative, that causes that 18 to go negative. So now the outsides become my first set of parentheses, 2x minus 9 sets of x minus 2s. And lo and behold, we're good to go there. All right, let's take a look at our last one, of these three at least. So I'm looking at factors of 3 times negative 20 is negative 60. Factors of negative 60 that add up to negative 4. Wow. Right away I'm thinking, well, 10 times 6, and if I make that 10 negative, ooh, I think I just got it. So I can rewrite this negative 4x squared as minus 10x plus 6x. So I have this minus 3x squared and minus 20. So now I want to group them together. So these two only have an x in common. So I'm left with 3x minus 10. see, 6 and 20 only have a 2 in common. Look at that, 3x minus 10 ends up being the same thing, thank goodness. So I have x plus 2 sets of 3x minus 10s. How about that? All right, last two examples. So number 6 is exactly doing what we just did. 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. Ooh, that add up to negative 3. Here's the cool thing. If you add those two together, you get a positive 3. So let's just change the signs on them. Add up to negative 3. So I can rewrite this minus 3x as minus 7x and 4x. Bring down the 7x squared. Bring down the minus 4. All right, group the first two together. I have 7, I can pull out a 7 and an x. I'm left with x minus 1s. Group the last two together. They share a 4, x minus 1s. So the outsides is 7x plus 4 sets of x minus 1s. Sweet. All right, last example. Goes back to the first two. Group the first two pieces together. They only share x squared. So I'm left with x minus 5. These two together have a minus 4 in common. Make sure you factor out that minus 4. So I'm left with x minus 5. Sweet, they're the same. So on the outside, x squared minus 4 sets of x minus 5s. Tricky part here is we're not quite done because, difference of perfect squares here. So x plus 2, x minus 2 times x minus 5. So this one can really be factored a lot farther. All right, that takes care of the CFU page. All right, so when we get to the worksheet, okay, there's 2 pages of it, and there's a lot of problems on here. So I'm going to be kind of nice, and I'm just going to ask you to do all the odds. When you do this assignment, you're just going to do the odds. So I'm going to just go right down the column as I do these and go through so as you check them. So, and there's 2 pages of them. So the first one page is really all the ones where we already have the cubic equations, and all we have to do is group, and factor. So let's do that. Let's group, factor. 12 and 9, they share a 3, x squared. So that leaves me 4x minus 3s. 4x minus 3, they only share a 1 in common. I can rewrite that as such. So combine my outside, 3x squared plus 1 sets of 4x minus 3s. Again, what I can do is if I FOIL this out, it should equal it. Trust me, it does. All right, next one. Group the first two together. Well, 2 and 5 don't have anything in common, so I can only factor out the x squared. So I'm left with 2x plus 5. 6 and 15, they share a 3 in common. And that goes in there 2x plus 5 times. Nice, these are matching up. So I'm left with x, whoops, got a little ahead of myself. Spreads does that, x squared plus 3 sets of 2x plus 5s. All right, sliding on down, number 5. So this one, group the first two together, all they share is x squared. So I'm left with x minus 1. These share a 4 sets of x minus 1. So I have x squared plus 4 sets of x minus 1. This is not a difference of perfect squares. So I'm actually done on that one. All right, number 7. Whoa, look at these big numbers. This one looks chaotic. But let's just break it up. So if I look at that one, 63 and 54, well, they share a 9 and they share x squared. So let's see what I'm left with. 7x plus 6. Negative 105 and negative 90. Oh my goodness. Minus 15 goes into both, and I'm left with 7x plus 6. So now, combine the outsides. 9x squared minus 15 sets of 7x plus 6's. This was a little tricky because they're not difference of perfect squares. They do have a number in common. They have a 3. So I can pull out a 3, and I'm left with 3x squared minus 5, and then this 7x plus 6. I know we never had an example like it, hence why I like going through these videos. That one was kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy and fun at the same time. All right, let's look at the last one here. So let's see, 49 and 35. Ooh, I think a 7 goes into both those, and an x squared. So I'm left with 7x. 7 goes into 35 again, like we said, 5 times. So let's see, 56 and 40. Wow. So I know 4 goes into them. 8 actually goes into both of them. So I think it's going to be 8, 7x minus 5. Oh my goodness, they match up. Thank goodness. So the outsides go together. 7x squared plus 8 sets of 7x minus 5's. Just for fun, I will actually check this one. 7x squared times 7x, that's that 49x cubed. 7x squared times 5, 7 times negative 5 minus 35, x squared. 8 times 7 is 56 with the x. 8 times 5, negative 40. Yeah, that's beautiful. Just like Mr. Bart's. Ha 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 ha. We'll see how many of you laugh at that. All right, so on the next page, okay, it says factor each trinomial. So this is the one where we're doing the crisscross and creating 4 terms and solving. So on the first one, we start off by saying, all right, 3 times 5 is negative 15. Let's add to negative 2. This one's kind of nice because we get negative 5 and 3. Okay? They were the actual factors. I'm actually going to write this as 3x minus 5x. Okay. Bring down the 3x squared. Bring down the minus 5. So now I'm going to factor them by grouping. The first 2 terms have a 3x in common. So I'm left with x plus 1. The second set have a minus 5 in common. Sets of x plus 1's. Combine the outsides. So 3x minus 5 sets of x plus 1's. All right, first one done. All right, let's keep plugging away. Whoops, I didn't put a, there we go. All right, let's do the second one here. So 3 times 4, that's 12. Factors need to be negative 8. Ooh, that's negative 2 and negative 6. So I can rewrite negative 8x as negative 2x minus 6x. Bring down the terms. So 3x squared and the 4. Now let's factor by grouping. These 2 terms have an x in common. So I have 3x minus 2's. Negative 6 and positive 4. They have a minus 2. Got to factor out the negative. That's the reason why this can turn into 3x minus 2. So now combine the outside. So I have x minus 2 sets of 3x minus 2's. Sweet. Just like that. 2 down. Number 5. 2x squared plus 11x plus 5. So factors of 2 times 5 is 10. Factors of 10 that add up to the middle 11. That's just 1 and 10. So I can rewrite this 11x as 1x plus 10x. Bring down the 2x squared, bring down the 5. So these only have an x in common. Okay. So I have 2x plus 1. These have a 2 in common. I'm sorry, not 2, a 5 in common. That's what's left will be the 2. So I have 2x plus 5 goes into 5 one time. Nice. They are the same. So I have x plus 5 sets of 2x plus 1's. All right, number 7. Ooh, look at that. 7 times 28. Oh my goodness, Mr. Bartz, that is crazy. This one's a crazy one. So I gotta go 7 times 28. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna actually pull up my calculator here and go 7 times 28 for a second. And help me here, 196. Oh my goodness, factors of 196 that add up to 53. Sorry, this should have said 196. The reason why I wrote a 4 is I think a 4 goes in there. And it does go in there 49 times. 4 and 49 add up to 53. So I can write this as 7x squared. Sorry, I brought that down. 4x and 49x. So that's what I'm breaking up the 53 as. Whoops, forgot the x. Plus 28. So factor by grouping. They only share x. So I have 7x plus 4. However, these two share a 7. 7x plus 4. How about that? They're the same. X plus 7 sets of 7x plus 4s. Again, when you do these problems, if you flip these two, then these factors will just get flipped, but you'll get the same answer. All right, last example, or last problem, and then we're done with all the homework. We'll just have the review to do next. All right, so 15 times negative 6. Wow, I believe that's negative 90. Has to equal negative 27. 90 is like saying 3 times 30, and I want the 30 to be negative. So I'm going to rewrite this as minus 30x plus 3x. Bring down the 15x squared. Bring down the minus 6. Group the first two together. Wow, they share the number 15 goes into 32 times. So 15x left with x minus 2. 3x and minus 6, they share a 3. X minus 2's. So let's see here. 15x plus 3 sets of x minus 2's. Now notice 15 and 3 actually share a 3 in common. So I can actually factor out that 3, which I should do. So my final answer is 3 times 5x plus 1 times x minus 2. All right, I hope this video helped you out. We'll see you tomorrow while going over the review.